Howdy there, guys. Silent Wake 5 back with a video after all this time. I'm back here with you today, down here in the cinema room. The question is why? What more do I have to say after all this time? And really, I just want to tell you a story. Now, I'll be honest, I have not been down here in this space on a regular basis in a long while. I used to come down here all the time. I don't really do that anymore. My interests have kind of shifted more towards gaming and then work and kids. You know, I have a 12-year-old and a 10-year-old now. So, I'm pretty occupied, where I don't really have the time and the energy to put towards the Kenneth Bird saga. I do keep up with it every now and again. Mostly I'll watch Derek because I just love that guy. He's hilarious. And it keeps it fun and interesting for me to come in every now and again and check out a video or a couple shorts or whatever. So I appreciate that. And I can look back at my time in the space doing reviews and debunking Kenneth Bird. I know for a fact that I did help people. And I know for a fact that I persuaded people to look elsewhere. Why would I do that? Because dealing with the Kenneth Bird situation is probably one of the most upsetting and miserable circumstances that you could find yourself in. Now, let's put that in perspective. I happened to get home the other day from doing some errands, and I knew I had to come down here in this room, and I needed to clean, and I needed to straighten up. I needed to update the Xbox One X that I use for streaming purposes down here. And as I'm doing this and I'm updating the console and I got back into real content, I said, wow, I haven't been down here in a while, and look at this space. This is great. Look at this screen. It's great. The combination between it and the JVC that I've had for many, many years now, it still looks really good to me. And the idea that I can still come down here after all this time and I can watch a movie, I can watch Netflix, I can watch YouTube, whatever the case may be, that the VEGA from PARTAY's premium screen paint lineup still holds up really, really well today. I'm looking at the screen and I don't see any cracks, I don't see any dry spots or any faded spots or anything like that. And the product cost $60 and took a couple hours of my time. And this room will fluctuate in temperature depending on what season we're in. It'll be really cold and then really humid, and it kind of goes all over the place. And none of that has affected the screen. None of that has affected the coating itself, right? So I can appreciate the value after all this time and the performance to value that I got for it for the circumstances of this particular room. And I'm happy with it. I'm still happy with it after all this time. Now, in comparison, the last time I checked in with Derek, he told me that last year Kenneth Bird had like 4 sales, and this year in 2026 he's had 0. Do you think that those 4 customers, and I know of at least one of them that was absolutely distraught because they sent the product to Crow and there were pictures posted and it was just a big mess. The guy that painted it on the huge wall, the Kenneth Bird wall of shame. Do you think those other 3 out of the 4 that bought products from Kenneth Bird last year can look back after as long as I've had VEGA here in my space and look back and appreciate the value to performance? Do you think they can look at Kenneth Bird's product after all this time and not see distortions? Because I know from the panels that I have of Kenneth Bird's product that those panels do not age very well. They end up looking like an old piece of sandpaper. Legit. Like an old used piece of sandpaper. I don't have that problem with VEGA. And VEGA costs $60, and Kenneth Bird's products typically cost you $200 or more. typically. So where's the value in that? Where's the downside of buying from PARTAY as opposed to Kenneth Bird in that scenario? There is no downside. And I'm not telling people who or where to buy their DIY screen thing. I don't even think that the DIY screen paint or coating thing is even really relevant at this point, because the accessibility of larger displays and the progression of ultra short throw projectors with like triple RGB lasers and all that kind of stuff, those packages of screens and ultra short throw projectors continue to remain mostly affordable, typically around $4,000 to $5,000, which is, not a small chunk of change. But when you're making a large display investment, your cost per inch is going to be more affordable than, say, buying a 75-inch top-of-the-line Sony television in their OLED lineup or some shit. You're going to be actually saving money per inch, and you'll have a much bigger display, right? So that, whatever, that's nerd talk. Do you think that after all this time that Brother Derek can appreciate the versatility and the value of the Yondu? Do you think that Kenneth Bird's customers feel the same way about Kenneth Bird's products the way that Brother Derek feels about the Yondu? In terms of the price of the thing, the performance, the versatility, do you think they feel the same way? No. I think that's pretty much a decisive no, they do not. So after all this time, the Kenneth Bird still remains in the same headspace, living his life in office buildings and garages and laundry rooms. It really is a sad tale. It's a tragedy, to be fair. Do you think all of the time that he continues to spend on even talking about PARTAY, or even mentioning Crow at this point, who doesn't sell screen paints, do you think that's relevant? It's not. It's a complete waste of time, but it shows you exactly where his headspace is, and he's still in the headspace as if we're still living in 2022 or some shit. You know what I mean? In March of 2022, I arranged for a product of his to be bought on my behalf. This is the Black Widow 38. And since then, he's been in the same headspace. Since the Phantom, since the Black Widow 38, since all that stuff, he's in the same headspace now that he was then. He hasn't evolved, he hasn't moved on, he hasn't learned anything, he hasn't moved forward at all. And most of us have moved on. We're doing the things that matter to us. Whether that's taking care of kids, working, spending time with grandchildren, 3D printing, going out and about in your area, going out to eat, spending time with family. Kenneth Bird does none of those things. His big outing is going out and getting a big bag of Doritos or Cheetos and a juice. Golf clap. And then he gets back on YouTube and continues to talk about Daniel McAfee. He's still convinced that I'm Daniel McAfee. So it's either he's stupid, or he does know that I'm not Daniel McAfee, that it's a completely different human being, and he can't let up on the facade. He can't let up on the narrative. And when you can't say, "Oh shit, man, I made a mistake. That's my bad. That's a completely different person." Silent Wave 5 is somebody else. Silent Wave 5 doesn't have two little girls. He's got a boy and a girl. You know what I mean? Like, come on. This is stupid now. But let's continue to live in fantasy land, because that's what Kenneth Bird likes to do. In the meantime, I'm going to continue doing the things that I enjoy. I'm going to continue to move forward and progress in this lifetime, because I only have a certain amount of time left, and I don't know when the ticket's going to be punched. I'm not going to waste it on the likes of Kenneth Bird. So this is just a small video to put out just as appreciation for VEGA and what it's meant in my space after all this time. It's held up. It was worth $60. It was worth a couple hours of my time. And I don't think that Kenneth Bird customers can truly say the same thing. And that's really the message of this video. I hope all of you guys are doing well out there in your regular lives. I know that the Kenneth Bird thing continues to be somewhat entertaining, and I get it. I check in with it myself sometimes. But just remember that none of this is really relevant. What's relevant is what's important to you in your life. Your friends, your family, your security, your prosperity, your connection with God, whatever it is. Focus on those things. They're the most important. All right, you guys all take care. God bless, be safe, and we'll see you next time.